we're going to restate those same opinions, that the task force believes that the uncertainty to some extent of implementing the Highlands, particularly as it relates to cost and tax implications, are significant enough that the township doesn't want to concede to the changes without expressing its displeasure with those changes. Now, you're not making a decision at this point whether to conform or not conform. This is all a process of discussion, a learning exercise, an educational opportunity. If your word, it's non-binding. If you don't like it at the end of the day, you can reject it, and there's no obligation, you walk away. But in the interest of making the best informed decision, the task force recommendation is essentially to provide a response to their documents, and essentially in those responses, reiterate the same issues we raised over 2 years ago. The challenge is right now, and the reason why I'm here tonight, is that we have a pressing deadline at the end of the month. This is the last regularly scheduled meeting. To avoid scheduling a special meeting and to provide more time to formulate what will probably end up being a very heavy, technically detailed 20 to 30 page response letter that the mayor will have to sign. What we're asking tonight is that you authorize us, based upon the input and recommendations of the township professionals and the recommendations of the task force, to authorize the mayor to essentially submit that response when it's done. This way, we can get it in by the deadline. We don't have to have a special meeting, and it gives us a little bit more breathing room to try to get this done. And the task force is, between this and COA issues, we're probably going to meet, what, 4 times this month? So.
Steve, I want to clarify in my own mind what you just said, because I'm not sure if I misunderstood what you said or I'm not on the same page. But what I would hope that we do is get a response in before the 30th. It may not be our response, it may not be final, but if the task force is working through issues and feels that there are, given the voluminous documents and the many different things that need to be addressed, I thought that we were going to submit a letter before the 30th saying we're working diligently. We have issues X, Y, and Z we still need to address, and can we have additional time?
Well,
because it's my understanding, without getting too specific, that request might be well received?
Yeah, it's actually a 2-step process. We're doing both. And,
okay.
In order to respond to the entirety of the Highlands request, not only do we have to address the issues, and not only do we have to identify what the position of the township is with respect to those issues, but we have to then go back into these documents and then track change the changes to the changes that were made previously when we first reviewed the document. We're not going to have the time to do that. So what the position of the task force is and the recommendation of the task force is, in an effort to meet the deadline established, we want to be responsive to the Highlands and provide a response. And recognizing that it really makes no sense in going back and forth and continually making editorial comments to a document until we have resolution of issues. What we're doing is responding to the Highlands and saying, here are our issues. They're the same issues we had before. They're important issues to the township, and we need to know what your final position is on these issues before we can make amendments to the documents and before the governing body can make any decision with regard to whether or not they want to conform.
Okay, so we're not saying in that letter whether we're making a decision of whether we want to conform or not. We're just saying we need additional information from you in order for us to finish what it is that we need to do.
Exactly, and I would suggest to you, you can't make a decision whether to conform or not. There are so many open issues that none of us really thoroughly understand, questions that were raised by the task force that we don't know the answers to as professionals, because it's not clear that until we have the answers to some of those questions, there's no way we could formulate a recommendation to conform or not conform at this point.
Not to belabor this, but one of the big issues was a wastewater management plan was submitted how many years ago?
Well, a year.
A year?
Yeah.
But before that?
April
But
2011.
before that, it was submitted.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. The town has been attempting to update its wastewater management plan now, going back to '86, I think, sometime around that.
Exactly.
And for a variety of reasons has been stalled in that attempt, to some extent because the state keeps on changing its rules. Recently, we were advised the state had changed its rules. The state put the burden on the township to amend its plan, the state requirement. You had so much time to do it. You did it within the allocated time. The state gave you some grant money to complete it even. We submitted it, and then we're in bureaucratic limbo until the Highlands issues are resolved. So there is a degree of frustration, I'll say, on the part of some members of the township that have been involved in this on years, that you keep on jumping us through hoops after hoop after hoop after hoop. You know, that essentially enough's enough. Let's do this in order. You know, we complied with the requirements of the state law. We went through all this effort and did all this work. Let's resolve that, and then we'll move to item B on the list, rather than to jump down to D, ignore A through C. So there are a number of issues surrounding, still outstanding issues surrounding Highlands conformance that we're still trying to get answers to and resolve. But we do have to provide a response by the end of the month, to at least be responsive to the
what you're looking for from us is a motion to...
a motion or a resolution. I don't know which is more appropriate. I did prepare... What's that? I drafted a resolution that essentially talks about the history, why we're here, what we're here, and then authorizes the mayor to submit the comments based upon the issues raised by the task force and the township professionals that are working on it.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Okay.
This resolution will be 52.
Number 52.
2012.
No,
It's loose.
it's loose.
You have
See
it?
it?
Yeah, do you have any copy?
Yep. I have one.
Is it extra?
Yeah, I have it.
Oh, okay.
Mike, did you want to see it before you call for a motion to vote on it, or did you just want it for information?
Oh, no, I'll look at it. No, I'm fine.
Okay,
No,
all right.
you certainly move forward.
Did you want to look at it for a minute before I make the motion? So is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
I'll make the motion
I'll second.
Any comment?
and to authorize the mayor to sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's the letter.
That's what the resolution
It's in the
is there for.
So roll call.
Perez?
Yes.
Siegel?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Cordilla.
Yes.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Steve.
Open space, farmland preservation. We skipped.
No,
No.
that was the resolution.
We're going to table that part there.
No, the one for 2012-49. That is what Stuart had recommended.
Stuart sent that?
Yeah, Stuart had recommended that we adopt this resolution.
Okay. So we'll make a motion supporting. I need adoption.
This is the extending time period for municipalities to commit to expend collected development fees and payments in lieu of this is for the July, okay, so this is for the July 17th deadline,
Yes,
okay.
yes,
Yeah, okay. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any comment? Roll call.
Okay, so Joe, Perez?
Yes.
Siegel?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Cordilla?
Yes with an exclamation point.
Can you explain to the public?
This resolution that we just voted on to extend time period, presently, the state has set up a process every municipality has COA funds, okay, that are dedicated for affordable housing units, and depending upon the municipality, every municipality, the dollar amounts are different. We have about $1.2 million that's in our COA trust fund. And the way things stand right now is if you don't spend it by July 17th, you lose it. And the state takes the money back, and then those, right now what they're proposing, I don't know how far I can go. I'll just, in my,
General budget, that's it.
in my opinion, I think their proposal scheme would be questioned by a court in terms of there's specific funds that are dedicated for specific purpose, and they want to reallocate, and in my opinion, divert those funds to spend on other things. In any event, the problem is, what's going on is, as municipalities are working diligently to approve spending plans, they're submitting for approval of the spending plans, and the states are saying no. And because the way that it's, if there isn't an approved spending plan, then they get the money. So they have a financial interest in not approving it. Without, I don't know how,
Well,
to get, I don't want to be too inside baseball, but we have, our situation, we believe, is a little bit different. And
Well,
that we're,
since we put our spending plan in 2 years ago, they
Correct.
still haven't approved it from 2 years ago before this whole thing even started. So it's up to us to make sure that the things that we planned and sent to the state are actually the monies and dollars are earmarked for where we want them to be. So we're taking a proactive action to make sure that $1.2 million does not leave this township.
next item.
Okay, the next item is open space farming preservation for the Rossi for 2012. Mike, you want to give us a general overview of a Rossi?
Sure. A Rossi is a required document that needs to be filed with the state and recorded with the county. It stands for one of the thousands of acronyms our state uses. And
We love them,
stands
don't we?
for Recreation and Open Space Inventory. And we've updated them for years. We needed to update it again, primarily to include the most recent Green Acres funded property that the township has been involved with, which was the Amy property on Route 57. This all kind of did pretty quick, but
And we turned it around really quick.
needless-
Thank
well,
you.
sometimes
Thank
you get
you.
lucky,
Kim,
Elaine.
and thank you, Mike.
yes, and Kim really pulled off some real magic. She got the guy to come here to sign off on. It's almost
It's
a
unheard
miracle. It's a miracle. So in any event, 2 points for Kim. And Kim gets 2 more points coming up later on, which you don't even know about yet.
I do know.
So you're going to
I
get
do
4
know that
points
one,
tonight.
yeah.
So in any event, the document is done. We finished the mapping. We provided it to Kim. It falls in her court. She took care of the administrative part of it. We took care of the tabulations and charts and mapping part of it. We gave it to Kim. So it's hopefully ready to go and get recorded, and we'll be in good shape. Tomorrow. Should get there for when they open up. So is there's really not any, wait, there is action. That's right, mayor to
Sign
sign.
the declaration
Yes.
of incumbents.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Comment? Roll call.
Perez,
Yes.
Siegel,
Yes.
Miliani,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Coriello.
Yes.
Okay, this is the first reading of ordinance number 2012-06, which is the solar ordinance. The Township of Greenwich, Warren County, in the state of New Jersey recognizes the growing trend of residential and commercial properties installing solar and wind structures to produce renewable energy. We have been working on this ordinance for quite some time. We did have a first reading of a different ordinance, and since that time, we've made amendments to it and updates, which would make it inherently beneficial. I'd like a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Comment?
Yeah, I have a question. So does this mean then that, because I see a part in here about farmers, about farmland here?
You're talking about the right to farm. Are you talking about on the first page, the whereas?
Yes. To cover statement. Well, does it mean that they can put up solar panels on their property? Is that the same here also?
Yes, for there's a certain amount, and the way that it works is you're allowed basically. It says up to, but it's like a 1 to 5 ratio, and it's not that you can use it for a large scale energy facility to be selling back to the grid. That's a different usage for those types of properties.
So this is for personal use?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
There are
Exactly.
certain things that have come up that throughout this time that we've been doing this, that the more solar that has been, put in front of governing bodies, the more we have understood what the drawbacks and what the positives are. So I think this ordinance is much, very good, strong to support the master plan. It is not inconsistent with the master plan.
Correct.
So-
And the ordinance, Dan, goes beyond that one issue. I mean, that one issue that you asked has to do with that paragraph, but this is a comprehensive energy ordinance that goes beyond that particular issue. It assumes that issue, but there's many more, and I think Elaine correctly phrases this as an ordinance that really is supportive and consistent with Greenwich Township and Warren County master plan,
Okay.
for sure.
Thanks.
I would just make just a couple quick suggestions for next one,
Okay,
for the second reading of the public hearing.
okay.
You should probably take the date off the top, because that's old,
Yeah.
of the equipment,
What is
number
this?
one. Number two, and I know this maybe is just the way it's
I
appearing.
saw that like 5 times, and I said, what's wrong with that?
It's
Yeah.
a little, yeah.
That'll be
it's-
taken off.
Yeah, and maybe this is just because, Elaine, that's how you put it in your agenda to Kim. But this is not, and Dan, to your question as well, it's not just the solar ordinance.
Right.
It's a renewable energy ordinance, so maybe
Yes. We
so it
often
relates
talk-
to wind
yeah.
energy as well as solar.
And we often talk about solar because that's the most popular, but it is, renewable energy ordinance. I'm sorry.
Warren County.
Thank you, Mike.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Warren County will probably see very little wind energy facilities because of the winds. As much as when my house, it gets really windy, but the winds are not at the speed necessary to actually construct a windmill and generate power.
Typically, that's all
yeah,
down at the beach.
Yeah, right.
But solar panels could be
Oh,
installed?
no, we're, on the flip side, we're beautiful for solar. I mean, you got all these open fields, you got, as long as you have southerly exposure, yeah.
But
no,
what I'm saying,
we-
but what this is allowing that within
Sure.
restrictions.
Right, both, residential and,
I think the way to phrase this, Tanya, is this ordinance is a comprehensive ordinance that doesn't, when you say it allows it, well, the state allows it, where you couldn't disallow it, but I think that, and I'm going to look to Michael to see if, I think the correct way to characterize this is a comprehensive way of regulating an inherently beneficial use in a way that will meet and satisfy state criteria, county in a way that brings usage in line with state regulations, county and local master plan.
perfect, that's exactly what
Right?
it is. Yep.
I'm sorry.
So when we come driving into town, we're not gonna see like 1,000 solar panels out there on our entrance into town.
Well,
Not as a result of this ordinance.
no,
Okay.
exactly.
That doesn't mean that the Board of Adjustment wouldn't, in other words, if the Board of Adjustment was to vote on an application that they say, yes, is inconsistent with an ordinance, but we're going to give a variance, it would be as a result of that, not as a result of the adoption of this ordinance.
Okay.
This allows them to have parameters to work with.
Correct.
So let's roll call. Roll call.
Roll call.
Rez,
Yes.
Siegel,
I'm going to abstain.
Miliani,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Toriello.
Yes.
Sewer Subcommittee, we need a motion to authorize the advertising and receipt of bids for the sewer utility operation and maintenance contract that is up in July of 2012. That's the recommendation of the Sewer Subcommittee.
So is this the company that manages that, or what is this for again, Mike?
This is
Mike works on the bids.
This is the spec that we would advertise. Actually, Joe Pryor's got a lot of involvement, and we do more of the administrative component of it. Township authorizes, we receive bids, and we would hopefully make a recommendation well in advance of the termination of our existing contract. This is for the operation and maintenance contract for our sewer system.
For the actual system itself?
Yes, this is with Aqua, New Jersey, not the Aqua wastewater, not Aqua water.
Right.
There's two very distinct differences, of course. And this is the third year of a 3-year contract, and it has to go out to bid again, and we need to secure some contract with a future O&M contract.
And this has nothing to do with the collection. This is strictly the operation and maintenance of the sewer system.
Well, no, it does have to do with, I mean, it's kind of the same.
It's more cumbersome.
I'm talking about billing and
Oh,
collection.
no, I'm
Okay.
sorry. When you said collection, I was thinking the collection of the sewer
No,
and the pipes, the actual flow.
Collection of
Okay.
money.
I got,
the other thing.
no money,
Okay,
right.
good. All right, that's good.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any other comment? Roll call.
Perez,
Yes.
Siegel,
Yes.
Miliani,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Riello.
Yes.
Okay, on the environmental side, there's a Morris Canal update. I had the Warren County representatives from the planning department come down and discuss with the environmental group and historical group with regards to the Morris Canal, which is being re-energized, and there's a grant from the county that starts over on 519 that runs the entire length of behind Stewart's Hunt. The concerns of the residents behind Stewart's Hunt of people on their property has been equally discussed with the members of the planning board, and there will be some sort of discussion as we move forward that they won't be walking on the property of the residents in Stewart's Hunt. We're going to do everything possible to eliminate or to make a change to the actual portion of that. So that's the update from the Morris Canal, from the environmental on the Morris Canal. Just so you know, the Morris Canal is extremely historical, and there is some information on our website now about the Morris Canal and where to go to get information on the historical value of the Morris Canal, which runs pretty much up to Blairstown, from Hillsburg up to Blairstown. Number 2 is the addition of an electronics and metal collection for spring cleanup, which will be held on May 11, 12, 18, and 19. There will be a list on the website of all the items that you can put, computers, a whole bunch of things, which is something that I don't think we've ever really had this before. We're going to do this massive collection in hopes of helping everybody clean out their basements.
And metals.
And metals, yes. And budget workshop, the first scheduled budget workshop will be May 3rd of 2012 on a Thursday evening at 7:30 in the evening. Is that with the time we,
I believe so.
I thought it was
7?
7?
7 o'clock. And then from there, we will discuss the next budget.
Yeah, we'll do it then, because I think the other date, the other
We have other
date,
business
some people have
Thursday
conflicts, so he said that
night,
date's off.
We have
Yeah.
other business at this workshop meeting.
We have other business as well
Yes.
at that workshop.
Yes.
Okay. And then there's only one other item that I have that I've
You forgot the brush.
oh, I know what I forgot. Senior citizens, we have received each year Older Americans Month in May, and the Warren County Aging Services Advisory Council conducts a countywide search for an older adult to honor at the Mary Louise Christine Outstanding Senior Citizen of Warren County Award. We looked they look to our organization and to our township and membership to help us identify those individuals that served our community in a special way. We have identified Gordon Kobler. I'd like to make a resolution with regards to Gordon. And whereas the County of Warren is requesting nominations for an outstanding citizen in your community, Gordon Kobler, who has been serving Greenwich Township as tax collector for over 43 years. Gordon Kobler joined the service on March 30th, 1944, assigned to an F-377 in the 95th Infantry Division of World War I.
Yeah, it's not one.
Wow. How many more years can you add?
Yeah, he's impressive as it is, but he's in World War I.
He was honorably discharged on April 20th, 1946, and Gordon Kobler has resided in Greenwich Township for over 70 years, volunteering with the Stewartsville Fire Company for 25 years, has been a charter member of the American Legion for over 65 years, and a member of the Phillipsburg Lodge for number 52 Free and Accepted Mason, a member of the Warren County 14 Tall Cedars of Lebanon for over 60 years, and a member of the Stewartsville Presbyterian Church. Oh, he worked on rec for 32 years too?
Yeah.
I don't have this in my list from his daughter, but okay. That's a great thing. And Greenwich Township, the Committee of Greenwich Township of Warren, the State of New Jersey, to nominate the honoree for Gordon Kobler as outstanding citizens for his many years of service in the residents of Greenwich Township. I've asked that Mayor Torriello sign this resolution, and we will forward it to the senior citizen group and work along with Ann Stone regarding this and get it to Warren County, to the freeholders, to adopt this resolution, and hopefully we're going to adopt it, but hopefully the county will see the support of the governing body for Gordon Kobler and choose him as the honoree for the Warren County award.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any comment? Roll call.
Perez?
Yes.
Siegel?
Yes.
Emiliani? Yes. Laurie?
Yes.
Torriello?
Yes.
I just have one more thing that's not on the agenda. Let's select the Community Day. The Community Day date, September 15th or September 24th, because I'd like to get a jump on the journal, because sometimes we're too far behind with the journal and it doesn't get out timely, and I think that if we do this before school breaks and we have a date set, we can start to work on at least the journal for the time being. So it's the 22nd or the 15th.
Any Rutgers games?
I'm sorry, that's on a Monday. I'm
sorry,
going to
what?
check the Rutgers dates.
So it's the 15th or the 22nd?
It's the 15th or the 22nd. So what's the pleasure of the committee?
Doesn't matter to me.
Isn't it always the third Saturday?
So then,
It's usually the third, it's usually
The last Saturday.
after Memorial Day is considered our third Saturday. We've always gone more towards the 22nd.
Right.
But I wanted to give an option if there was one.
when is Memorial Day?
Labor Day weekend, I'm sorry.
Who's
That's
the,
the
who's
third.
the Community Day chairperson?
We haven't decided
For
on one,
liaison.
I'm just asking. It's, I don't know, is
In
it,
town? I thought it was town.
is it Utah?
He says with
I was hoping you guys were just gonna blow right over that. So
He says with enthusiasm.
All I want to do is set the date so I can get the journal.
24th is fine.
22nd.
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 Yeah, right.
So that's Community Day.
That's all I had. I just want to get started on some of them. Because the longer we have to advertise, the more money we can raise. Plus my daughter's getting married on the following weekend, so
Okay. So
that's it
you're,
for me.
all right,
I just
Thomas?
have one question for Elaine, with this Mars Canal. If it should pass,
Oh, it has passed.
okay, but I'm talking about the part where people live up in Stewart's Hut. Okay. What are we gonna do then to ensure that people aren't going onto other people's property?
We have discussed with the Warren County Planning Board options, and the environmental community weighed in. We sat and listened to them. We understand that at one time the developer had outlined to the county that these right-of-ways were available. When residents that lived in Stevens Hunt were approached maybe 15 years ago about all this, they found that their documents did not have that easement on their property. So what happened was the county backed off, and the residents were told that, you know, unless they sold their property, this was going to be the way it is. There are many residents who hadn't sold their property that would have been affected by this. And what our general discussion initially is the property that's adjacent to the property, to their properties, is a preserved farm. So we're looking at opportunities that we could get, and it's going to take a while, but this was not happening overnight. This is a 25-year plan, but we're looking for an opportunity to have the pathway on the preserved farm as opposed to on their properties. We're looking at all alternatives, and it may come down to, guess what? We can't do this and we can't do anything. But we wanted to embrace the county's suggestion to look into it. So at this point, that's what we're doing.
And they're aware, they're definitely aware.
They're aware of it.
Okay, thanks.
To me?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, under, that's fine. Under recreation, I think we've already taken care of, number one, the adjusting of the referee umpire policy. They're able to check petty cash, right? We're good on that? And then there's just approval of baseball and softball umpire fees for the regular season, as well as approval of the playoff basketball referee fees, which is in the pile to be signed, so that should be taken care of, so that's all a yes. Under fire department, Joe, I don't know if you want to, do you have the letter?
Yeah, I have it.
Yes.
Were you planning on reading it, or?
I can just give a brief on it real quick if you like.
Okay.
Just reading it.
Yeah, that's fine. We have a letter of recognition to our fire company for a letter of commendation for the New Jersey Division of Fire Safety for sending a tanker for fire protection to the town of Millburn on August 27, 2011.
Real quick, what it was, it's a plaque and a letter. August 27, 2011, Hurricane Irene in Essex and Union County flooded their water system and left 250,000 residents without water and fire protection water. And through the Division of Fire Safety Fire Department Deployment Act, they responded 73 fire departments from 17 counties, and our department was one of them for a specific piece of fire apparatus, which was the tanker. And they sent out these letters of recommendation to the fire departments that assisted with this endeavor of providing fire protection. I believe there was 6 fire departments from Warren County that was involved with that. We had a crew go down with the tanker and spend a 12-hour shift in the town of Millburn and ran calls with their paid department.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Here's the update on the Opticom system at traffic light at Greenwich Street and entrance to Lowe's.
And I've been talking with Mike. Have you heard from the county yet?
I was wondering if I was going to get an update.
Yeah,
okay.
no,
okay.
I'm looking for one.
The update I can provide is this. I spoke with, Joe came to me, I then spoke with the county engineer and was told that, because it's their traffic signal, and there's obviously we can't be messing around with equipment on their signal. He was going to send the fellas out to look at it and hopefully get it repaired. I haven't heard boo since, and that's got to be a month ago.
Yeah.
Or right about a month, maybe more than a month.
Yeah, it's got to be. Well, it was a week and a half after the last town meeting.
So it's not working?
No, it's not working. They
No,
said
I bet
they don't
it's
have
a week and a half after 2 meetings ago.
Yeah,
Yes.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. Because I was at Chief's meeting.
Okay, I'm going to call them again?
Yeah,
Like,
just to find out.
I was hoping it was all taken care of, because I haven't heard.
I haven't heard nothing.
And then the last thing on the fire department is the update on down wires issue with the lawsuit in Monmouth County.
That was handed to the township attorney,
Right.
and just to wait for, I don't know if
Frank
we made
was
it.
reviewing statutes
And just-
working on possible transfer.
And just to reflect on that, a week ago Monday, during the winds and stuff, we went out and babysat JCP&L's power wires on Prospect Street for 4.5 hours as the down wires come down. Sat on a garbage can to start on fire. We had a young kid tried to run out and save it. We had to stop him because the power wires were hot. And 4.5 hours, the fire department sitting out there babysitting their wires. Like I say, I think it would behoove us. It behooves us in the township to create an ordinance that we can charge for our time, like our hazardous material response ordinance.
Yeah,
to-
on 78,
and,
the way we did it years ago?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
What, you brought this up the last meeting, huh?
That was 2 meetings ago, like I said, because I gotta miss every other meeting because it's a county fire chief association
Oh, okay.
meeting on this evening. So it was back in February. And the only other thing, and I just want to
Introduce it.
update the committee on the FEMA grants. We just got our unfortunate Dear John letter this morning at 8:30 that they can't fund our grant request for our equipment. Back in February, we got the letter for the apparatus. And just in brief, they had 16,486 applications requesting $2,888,000,000 worth of firefighting apparatus and equipment, and the federal government only fund $330 million of that. That's all the grant was for, and that was the Assistant to Firefighters Program grant. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Make a motion before we forget.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll make a motion for the attorney to prepare the authorization for that ordinance.
I second.
Well, let's be
Or,
clear.
you gotta be clearing it up
The-
for the,
The ordinance authorizing the able to charge.
Right, to be able to go back and bill for time spent with different areas.
Areas of
You think
hazardous
just JCP
response.
now, but
Right.
no, he was
any
researching
any
the
hazardous
statute.
response.
Right.
Right.
And so Brent's already, you sent him to research.
Oh, so he's aware of
He's
it.
aware, he's
Okay, but did we authorize him to go ahead and do that already? I don't recall doing
Well, you
that.
can do another motion.
Let's
just
do it
to-
just to be sure. So any comment? Well, first of all, who, Tom made the motion, did you second
Second, she
it?
seconded.
So, any comment?
Yeah, how do we force this? Do we have a way to force JCP&L to pay us?
The chief knows how to bill him back because he did it with.
Yes,
78.
I'll bill them back, and by ordinance, you're creating a law.
Right.
You're creating a local law. And if not, they subsequently come to municipal court. And if they don't pay it, we get the Board of Public Utilities involved.
So the question then becomes is, do we do this ordinance in what do you call it, no, the draft, first reading today by title only, and then go, and then let Brent? Can we do
No.
that? Yeah, okay, all right, so we'll wait, maybe it'll be
Maybe
available on
maybe
the
he can have it
3rd
for
of
the
May.
third.
Yes.
He'll be filled with all those carbs, he'll have all that energy.
Brent can be back, he's gonna
Yes.
run in circles like a mouse.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got that next week.
Okay, any other comment? Roll call.
Perez?
Yes.
Siegel? Miliani?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Moriello?
Yes.
Under emergency squad, there's a blue light permit for Sarah Weissel. It's an initial. She's your newest member, right, Gary?
Yeah, she just came off probation last month.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Comment? Roll call.
Perez?
Yes.
Siegel? Yes. Miliani?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Moriello?
Yes. You gotta ask her what the number. What number are we up to for resolutions?
We are up to, I did 0 to 50. This is 51, the one that, for the emergency management
Yeah.
grant, 51.
Didn't we make that one that was 49, 52?
I thought there was a 52
We did do a
already.
52.
We did a 52.
hold on. I have a 52. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We already did, we did a 50 and a 52, and this one here is for Tom, and this one is 51. Did we pay the,
There's another, yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, as amended with that one quote we did.
Okay, under emergency management, Gary Hill is our emergency management coordinator. Has been working hard with FEMA to submit a request for public assistance for disasters, for damage sustained to the township. And you're looking for the grant for the...
Yeah, specifically for, the initial application I put in for was to look into getting a generator for the municipal plant. Since it's our alternate operation center, and specifically so the township can stay partially in function during a power outage in the daytime.
Right.
If the courts and whatnot are still open.
So with the encroaching deadline, that's the end
Yeah,
of this
basically
month,
what we're looking for is, because most of our disaster relief funding appears to be coming through, it looks like any monies that could be offset by this, it's a 50-50 grant through FEMA for this purchase and installation of a generator, that our 50%, other than the in-kind portion through training and whatnot, could be backed up by the funding that we're going to be getting from FEMA for recuperation of all the costs that were incurred from Hurricane Irene, from DPW, law enforcement, so on and so forth.
Okay, so I want to put forth a resolution 2012-51 that Greenwich Township Committee authorize emergency management coordinator Gary Hill to apply with the state of New Jersey Emergency Management for a grant entitled, is it correct, FY, is that right, 10?
It's stated, it's titled as 10, but it's funded through 2011.
Okay. Emergency Management Performance Grant number CFDA 97.042.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any comment?
Is there any requirement of the governing body or the Township of Greenwich to put up any funds for this grant?
There can be, yes. However, if the funds become too much, if the bids, some of the bids that we've come into were right in line, it looks like there could be some funding that would come out of the township's pocket. However, we can, if you want, I can talk about the, money we're coming back from
Right,
FEMA.
do you want to go over your report?
Now, other than that, if it, up until the point where it's distributed to us, we can opt out.
We can opt
If you
out.
feel that it becomes too expensive for us to do it, we can opt out. But what's happened is, we submitted a preliminary application to the state because of the deadline. Okay, so we needed to pass it by a resolution that we're going to continue forward with to investigate getting approved for this grant. Otherwise, if they say, yeah, but we don't have a resolution, we don't get involved. The other part is, just in case I'm not being heard. Real quick, the projects that were being worked on for Hurricane Irene was Buford Road sinkhole, Adams Drive sinkhole, and catch basin collapse. At a total of $2,100. That was a project worksheet we turned into FEMA because of the federally declared disaster in Warren County and other counties in New Jersey.
Did you receive that?
We're about to.
Oh, no, I mean, did the governing body receive that?
I supplied it to them. There's a copy with the mayor and a copy with Tom.
Okay, so
I
it's
just-
not in our package? No.
Correct.
Okay.
No, I just signed off on a good portion of the worksheets today with FEMA at work. Okay. Ravine Road. Now, what also we're being reimbursed for is not only materials and supplies, man hours, but a percentage of their collective bargaining agreements of health insurance premiums, because a portion of it, it's all equaled out that way. An example would be they spent over $6,000 in materials to fix Ravine Road. We're getting reimbursed $11,000 from FEMA.
Okay, did we completely fix that road?
Yes.
Because I see that.
Greenwich Township's portion, yes.
So Pohat's area has not been,
Correct. That's still up in the air what they're going to do. I think Mike might have more
It's
information.
not gonna be, yeah.
it's not
You
that
wanna
because they're
read,
just not doing it and we have residents that are affected?
Our residents still have a way out.
Oh,
through
our residents,
173,
okay,
yes.
our residents have a way out.
Number 17 in my report, that kind
Okay.
of sums it up. No,
All right.
that,
I
Ravine
read that in
Road's-
your
we're
report,
in
that's
bad,
why I
we're in
was,
bad shape.
okay.
in Ravine Road is years away, to be honest with you, from being fixed and collapsed.
How long do you think the FEMA grant's gonna take?
We should expect funding probably within the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be relative. I was surprised when he told me today. But basically what this is, like I said, and then it also included emergency protective measures. Any officers that were out on overtime, regular time, they got paid for regular time, and then overtime, that came out to another $14,000. And then the protective measures that was provided by the fire department. Guys that went out there did all pump details. For every guy that was out there, their volunteer hours made up for the 25% of in-kind funding. The rest of it, the equipment, we got at a rate of either $13 an hour for the generator that was running or whatnot. That came to another $6,600. So roughly, not including the volunteer part, we're looking at probably coming back with about $23,000 in funding. And that's just for the Hurricane Irene. We're still working on the snowstorm. So.
Good job, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
Okay.
You done? Okay. Dan?
The repairs that we needed up at the municipal park, at the pavilion, the electrical repairs, they've been done, right, Joe?
Yes.
Everything's okay with that, so that passed. The roofing, we had a contractor do the reseal the roof for us because we had leaks and everything else. They didn't do an adequate job. Joe checked it out and everything else and was not happy with the work that was done by the company. We told the company we were not going to pay them unless they came back and fixed what needed to be fixed. They came back this week. They repaired the problem. They fixed the problems and everything else. Joe was satisfied, so we can release a check to them that payment of the roof. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Was it in this budget? Was it in this
Yes,
bill pay?
we approved.
I didn't see it.
We approved, I don't know if it's in with this bill pay because as of,
I didn't see the.
as of
No,
yesterday,
it's
they
not in
came and
this.
checked the roof.
I didn't see
Yesterday
it.
we had this conversation right today.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yes.
Okay, so they didn't make the bill list, so they're
So
not,
wait.
I'm not getting paid. Yeah, but I mean, we did approve, their quote and proceeded with the job, but we'll be on for next month.
Right.
Okay, then-
Now that we've heard that the
I
job
mean, a
has
day
been
before the meeting,
satisfied.
you're still, so,
Yeah.
and the next month.
Mike, Vicky Little, were we able to resolve that problem over there yet? Did we talk to anyone about the side of the mountain there coming down on their property?
Well, if you remember last month, I said who's the farmer? And I was told it was Sam Santini. I called Sam. It's not Sam. Apparently it's Cliff Oberlin, Jr., whose number is not listed. So, I mean, I know his wife. But I didn't want to mix business with pleasure. So I haven't asked Sheila. So the bottom line is, I reached out for who I was told to reach out for. It's the wrong guy, and I need to talk to Cliff. I mean, obviously, there hasn't been a problem out there now because we haven't had any rain. So that's the update. Kim, do you know their home phone number by any chance?
Would you like me to provide you with some phone numbers
That would be lovely.
for Junior?
Yes. I almost called Senior to get Junior's phone number.
Yeah,
but I
okay.
didn't.
I'll email it to you.
Okay, great.
So my next question is that we can rectify, or they can rectify that problem before there's another big rainstorms? Or do we have to wait till it rains for them to rectify whatever the problem is?
No, it easily
Has he
could.
planned it yet?
First of all,
Well,
I can't say personally that there's a problem. Or are you telling me there's a problem? Because the bottom line is, I haven't gone up there to look at anything. I'm not disputing that there is a problem. But that's why I figured, let me talk to, I know all these farmers, let's see what they have to say. And sometimes these things,
Take a little.
they're gonna not be in agreement that there's a problem. And then it's a question of, okay, now what do we do? Have you been up there? I mean, I don't know, one way or another. Is it absolutely a legit problem?
I was told after the fact. I was approached by Mrs. Little that she had approached the township about a year or two ago about this issue, and it just kind of went away. Nothing was ever done. Mrs. Little.
No, I know Mrs. Little.
I don't remember coming to a
No, she
meeting.
never,
She didn't come to me. To be honest, she said she spoke to you.
me?
Yeah.
Mrs. Little talked to me?
She
It
said,
might have been when we were.
Maybe it was
looking at
somebody
the-
in my office.
Maybe it might have been too with the Dominguez property, remember? That was also an
Yeah.
issue and a concern.
yeah. So, have I seen a problem? No. I'm just, you know.
We're talking about the runoff problem, right?
Yes.
Okay, right, I wanna make sure we're talking about the same thing,
Yeah.
because there's been the other issue of the site distance and other things like that.
Yeah, no.
Okay, we'll make sure we're talking about the same thing,
Yeah.
okay.
And according to them, they get a real heavy mud flow when there's a lot of rain. So they came forward about a year or two ago. Nothing was done. So she saw me one day and she asked me, you know, she's my neighbor. She lives down the block.
Yeah, all right.
And she asked me, you know, could I please come to you? She's very nice about it.
Oh,
But,
she's
you
very
know,
nice.
No,
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
big to do. You
Absolutely.
know, she just asked me if I could bring it back up to you and to the committee and see if we could do something about it. Because when they do get this heavy rain and everything, she says it's like a mudslide. They got to get out there with shovels and shovel all the mud away.
Well, if that indeed is occurring, and I don't dispute this, I guess I've been doing this so long, you hear these complaints like so often, Dan, and pardon my cynicism. Okay, we have a problem. The Cliff, I would think, if there is an issue, he'll fix it. By some sort of diversion, a channel he's gonna have to build and or a berm to prevent the runoff from impacting the little property. But especially with the conditions, there, you know, it's been so dry for
Would you like me to ask her to call you so she could actually tell you what the problem is? Does that work?
But
Yeah.
Mike, isn't he leasing that property from Dominguez? Isn't this all about the Dominguez, and we were waiting to find out whether or not they were gonna build those homes, Alamucci mentioned it, Alamucci, and then Dominguez is really the property owner, and Cliff Overly is just the farmer
Yeah, but
leasing that property.
it's probably Cliff's tilling and disturbance of the property that is
Okay.
causing the problem.
Okay.
I gotta figure.
Now I
So,
understand why you're going to
that's
both
why.
ways. Okay.
And I'm hoping it will be simple. He's the guy that's out there, and he's the guy that has the equipment. If we try to go after Mrs. Little, can forget ever having her problem.
I know. I know.
I mean, that's.
Well, and then it becomes a
Right. So yeah, sure, she can, I've spoken, I swear I don't recall speaking with her over a year ago, but, yes, have a call.
Okay.
And I'll get in touch with her. Can you gonna send me Cliff's contact stuff?
I have you listed as number one on my
Number
phone.
one, how nice. Thank you.
I'll get
Thanks,
you
Mike.
year's number.
The rumble strips.
Okay,
Are we
well, no.
sending notices out yet, or is
Well,
that?
that's where the rumble strips was left.
Yeah, no.
So, that's,
Is
I
that-
think
is that
that was
us or
the
is that
grant,
you?
as a matter of, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it?
I think Brett was gonna draft up a
Who?
letter.
Brent was gonna draft a letter to the
Okay.
residents.
All right, so we'll wait till he comes back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just one last thing. I just want to say to the residents of the township, my association, my friendship with Mayor Steinhardt is just that. My job, my priority is Greenwich Township. If something should arise that I feel is a conflict, at that time, I will then recuse myself. So I just want to let the township know that my priority is Greenwich Township. It always has been Greenwich Township. My friendship with Mayor Steinhardt has nothing to do with Greenwich Township. So I just want to put it out there, say to everyone in the township that if anything should arise that I feel is a conflict that I'm conflicted with, I will then recuse myself. Okay? Up until that point, I don't feel that I have to recuse myself because of my friendship with Mayor Steinhardt. And that's all I have to say about it.
Good news, I only have one agenda item and it should be correct, so. Yeah, Memorial Day Parade, Kim, so I saw the voucher in my
Yes,
bill listing.
$500.
We don't have to vote on that or anything,
No,
right?
it's just part of the bill.
Just signed off, okay. You know, we're having Memorial Day Parade, we haven't had any meetings yet. I did speak with Craig Stiebel, and I know Beth Ann Hamlin is very, kind of manages it, and I guess she's been,
Right. The committee will line up at 9:30, the parade starts at 10. the mayor, Rick Steinwell has reached out to the mayor, and the mayor has coordinated with him your speech.
And Dan, you said that we'd be, well, I thought you would talk to the rec about using it, or talk to Angie about the speakers.
Yeah, I did.
Right? Okay. And that's it, so that's good.
Good. We've had my report a few days, so, just a couple things to update. Item number 4, the SRTS grant, I alluded to it earlier in the meeting. Okay, that is the grant that we were awarded years ago, that the construction didn't start till 2010, and basically has been completed for the 3 sections of sidewalk: North Main, Willow Grove, Greenwich Street. The DOT inspection of the work that was conducted, although it was in accordance with the approved plans, they brought up some issues primarily ADA related. We went back and we trying obviously to get the original contractor to do the work. The original contractor has been very unwilling to come back here because it's not very local for him to come to Greenwich. Bottom line is we have to get this work done to get this grant closed out because the state owes us $150,000, which we've expended, obviously, that money years ago now. I have solicited 4 quotes. 2 bidders did not even respond, and I got 2 prices. One is in my report, $14,500. The second I finally got today, thank God. That's been the hold up, is just soliciting these quotes because this work is not glamorous or that large in magnitude, so these contractors aren't thrilled about coming out and doing this, for $7,525. I spoke to Lorraine earlier, and she's going to look in the original bond ordinance that was passed years ago to make sure there's still money in that for that project, which I believe there should be, but I don't know for a fact, of course. Any questions? Because then my recommendation would be, in order to move this project forward, to get it closed out, to get our final reimbursement and be done with this, and get us back on the good list with the DOT for next year's grant applications, is to award the project, which is for the remaining repairs to these 3 sections of sidewalks, primarily having to do with ADA requirements, to actually Wilbur Excavating is the local contractor, in the amount of $7,525. A pending certification from our CFO, funding being available. $7,525. The other bid, Kim, is actually was $14,500. And then there were 2 other bidders that never bid. So we solicited 4 quotes, got 2. That's clearly the low and well below the bid threshold.
Can I have a motion to authorize an award pending funds to the lowest qualified bidder?
Wilbur, of course. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Comment? Roll call.
Perez?
Yes.
Siegel?
Abstain, I didn't hear the motion. Sorry.
Miliani,
Yes.
Laurie,
Yes.
Toriano.
Yes.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. And then, let's see. Well, just updates. Really. Dumont Road street lighting. This is your other, the balance of your 4 points coming here. Last month, we've been talking about this for a long time, as you know. There was the issue of the Greenwich Chase streetlights. Did you get the email?
I did, thank you.
So there was 2 issues related to JCP now. One was the repair or plumbing, the plumbing as in straight, not as in plumbing, uh, of numerous streetlights out of Greenwich Chase based upon a list that John Howe provided. And the second was the ability or energizing of the Dumont Road streetlights that have been out now for years. Yeah. I spoke with the person that I've worked with in the past, and I tell you, it was a pleasure. She was incredibly helpful, and she's one project at a time. She's going to send the guys out to work on the streetlights and going to report back when that's done, but that's in the works already. And this is why I said the 2 points for Kim, because there was a lot of potential work that we would have had to have done to get the streetlights on Dumont ready to be re-energized. Some of which we could have done with our electrical inspector and so forth. Bottom line is, Kim had previously got a lot of this set up when Lynn Geiger, the lady J.C. Pinnell I was speaking with, when Lynn went back to her record, she saw this stuff was there. So the bottom line is, and I'm going to give you what the charges are going to be too, which she was incredibly helpful. To my knowledge, there's power now to those lights. Are they on?
Everything is set up. The cutting card's been in, and it's just a matter of the power company putting in another meter and twisting it around.
Because what was, the meter was tied to one of the businesses over there who turned us switch off.
Yes,
That's why
but
they
then
off
we
the
had
years.
damaged lights.
Yeah, the damaged lights there. The meter was removed.
Yes.
It was actually in April 2009 the power was stopped, and then in November 11 the meter was removed. And this is here for evaluation. We've always wondered how much does it cost the township for those lights, and what are we going to do? How many are we going to power?
Right, well, that
Blah,
was
blah.
my next question.
She went back to the old bills. For those lights, it's $54 a month.
That's it.
That's it.
How many years?
What?
When was this?
What year
No.
was it?
Oh,
The
well.
lights have been off since.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been from 2000 and...
Are you kidding me? So Lowe's?
Hmm?
No, that was actually Target. That was the,
Oh, okay.
yeah, even though it's
Further down.
behind the
Yeah.
Lowe's. Yeah, that's all it is.
Would you
It's
say $54 what?
it's 300 kilowatt hours per month